talking about why you should vaccinate your children. This is a pretty controversial topic, and I'm going to explain the benefits of why you should. I'm sure that many of you heard the rumor that vaccines lead to autism, but I'm here to tell you that this isn't true. Okay, so the widespread fear that vaccines lead to autism originated from a study done in 1997 by a British surgeon. The article was quickly discredited due to ethical violations, serious procedural error, and financial conflicts. This was such a big deal, though, and it resulted in that surgeon losing his medical license. The hypothesis was still taken seriously, and many studies were conducted to disprove this theory. The theory was proven false because many studies have shown symptoms of autism before the child received any vaccinations whatsoever. The cause of autism is still unknown, but the link between vaccinating your child and autism has been broken. Another reason people refuse to vaccinate their kids is based on the belief that vaccines carry unsafe toxins. People believe that since some vaccines contain toxins such as formaldehyde and mercury, that's unsafe to vaccinate their children. FDA-approved vaccines only contain trace amounts of these ingredients, meaning there's not near enough in it to cause harm to your child. According to the FDA and the CDC, formaldehyde is produced at higher rates in our own metabolic system than what can be found in a vaccine. There's also no scientific evidence that these trace amounts of toxins will have any negative effect on a child. People also refuse to vaccinate their children based on the belief that natural immunity is better than artificial immunity. Natural immunity can be better simply due to the fact that recovering naturally to disease builds a stronger immunity to it for the future. While that seems like a good thing, it's actually a lot less appealing than it sounds. For example, if a child were to contract the measles, they have a 1 in 500 chance of surviving. In contrast to that, there's a less than 1 in a million chance of a child having a serious bad allergic reaction to the MMR vaccine. So, if a child were to contract the measles and survive it, they would have a stronger immune system, but they have a much lower chance of surviving it than if they would have just gotten the MMR vaccine in the first place. Almost every conspiracy about the harms of vaccinating children has been proven false, and there's been many benefits to come from vaccinations. First of all, vaccinating a child can save his or her life. According to healthychildren.org, vaccines have saved millions of lives for more than 50 years. They have been proven to be 90 to 99% effective. Like I said earlier, the chance for a child to react horribly to vaccine is very rare. So there isn't really any risk to getting one. Even if the child were to contract the disease, despite being vaccinated, the disease would be a lot milder than it would have been without the vaccination, and typically the symptoms are a lot less harsh. On top of that, vaccines have been proven to be safe. Vaccines have to be deeply and thoroughly reviewed by the FDA before it can become licensed in the US. Even after a vaccine has become licensed, it will still undergo clinical trials before deemed safe to be given to the general public. Vaccinating your child can also save your family time and money. If you choose not to vaccinate your child and they contract the disease, you would spend a lot of time and a lot of money at the doctor's office, depending on the severity and the disease. Depending on the contracted disease, you could also risk spending thousands of dollars on the treatment, like I said, and you can also risk your child's life on top of that. Some vaccines are preventable, so even if they still contract that disease, like I said, the symptoms are definitely a lot less harsh, but without the vaccine, it can leave a child with a disability. For example, the mumps can result in permanent hearing loss if left untreated properly. If this were to happen to your child, you would have to then adapt to your child's disability. You'd have to learn sign language, and you would have to adapt y'all's entire lives to fit your child's new needs. This might sound kind of harsh, but it's a large waste of time and money, and you're also making your child have pay for the consequences of your actions, when this could have all been prevented with a vaccine. Also, there are many schools and child care facilities that require children to be vaccinated. Sports organizations can also deny a child acceptance solely on the basis of them not being vaccinated. It not only puts the unvaccinated child at risk, but it also puts all the other children at risk as well, which is another reason why you should vaccinate your child. Not vaccinating your child doesn't only just put them at risk, but it puts every person that your child comes into contact with at risk as well. There's something called herd immunity, and I don't know, some of you might have heard of it before, but for those of you who haven't, I will explain what it is. So, the Oxford Dictionary defines herd immunity as the resistance to the spread of contagious disease within a population that results in a sufficiently high proportion of individuals that are immune to the disease, especially through vaccination. So pretty much what this means, say you had 10 people in a room that were vaccinated, or 10 people in a room, and 9 of them were vaccinated. That one person that wasn't has a much smaller chance to get that disease that those people are vaccinated against versus if there were only 5 people in the room that are vaccinated. So that's kind of the whole idea behind herd immunity. So parents who don't vaccinate their children typically rely on herd immunity to protect their child from the disease, but with the decreasing number of children being vaccinated, the effectiveness of herd immunity decreases as well. The idea of herd immunity is to protect those out there who actually can't be vaccinated. There are actually children and adults who can't be vaccinated due to medical reasons and not by choice. So they actually do rely on herd immunity to protect them from those diseases. Vaccines are also accessible to many and almost always covered by insurance. Vaccines are typically a one-time shot that will protect your child for a lifetime. I want to share one last little fact with y'all that I found interesting yet alarming. So, according to the CDC, the United States had more than 1,000 cases of measles in 2019. And I know compared to our population numbers, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's the greatest number of cases since 1992, and the measles were declared eliminated in 2000. We're literally bringing back a deadly disease given the fact that some people refuse to vaccinate their children. The benefits of vaccination heavily outweigh the risks. So why wouldn't you want to protect your child from a preventable disease with a vaccine?